Alright everybody, welcome to another episode of Vic Cook. Today I am making rack of lamb. So I've made this before, it's pretty good. The first time I made it, I actually cut the bones up and I had like little mini tomahawk steaks, if you will. But today I'm just gonna cook the whole rack as it's intended to cook. Just so it'll have a little bit more juice that way. And it'll be easier to cook instead of me having like 12 pieces to watch. I can just focus on the big two. So what I'm doing, I'm just gonna open it up. And weirdly enough, I don't know why, but the rack of lamb comes with this little weird mesh thing over it. I don't know what that's about or why that's there, but it is. So what we got going on here is we got our beautiful rack. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some trimming, because I'm going to trim some of this fat and then trim the fat around these bones down. So it looks like there's a membrane. There we go. So yeah, now much like ribs, there's like an inner membrane. I'm just going to go ahead and peel that off. It's really thin though. It's not as thick as ribs, but it's definitely there. And that's just to kind of get rid of that little membrane in there so it's not there. And it also makes the meat tender. If you see my rib videos, I do the same thing for ribs, so we'll do the same thing here. And then we'll just peel that up. There we go. Alrighty, now for this part of it, I'm just gonna, definitely want to leave some fat on there, because that's gonna add a lot of flavor and help protect the meat. But a lot of these like extra little bits right here where it's like uneven, I'm just gonna trim a little bit of that because I do want it to be somewhat even. It's not gonna be perfect, but if I can get some of this stuff off, then that'll be cool. And then that way it'll help cook everything even. If I got too much fat on one side and not on the other, then one side is gonna cook faster than the other, obviously. Alright, yeah, actually, there we go. So yeah, we're just trimming this. Now I'm pretty sure you could do something with all this fat. You can probably put it in a pan or something and have like a good lamb fat or some lamb stock or whatever. But I won't be doing that. I'm just gonna throw it out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these down a little bit. So I'm just going to, actually let me get my, there we go. We'll just trim these down just a little bit because it looks good for presentation. There we go. Now these little bitty bits of lamb meat, probably definitely put that in like a nice soup or something if you want to do that. Kind of makes me want to do it. But yep. And then when we trim this, it's going to look really nice. You can try to get the bone as clean as possible. Which I'm going to try that now, actually. We'll try to get the bone as clean as possible. Sometimes we won't. I don't have the correct knife or the right amount of patience for this. I am kind of hungry now, but that's besides the point. So yeah, pretty much we're just trimming the fat down a little bit. We're just trimming just to separate the bones a little bit, so that way it'll look nice when it's grilled. You'll have the nice tall bones sticking out, and yeah. Alrighty, and then if you want, you can come over the bones like this and kind of be careful though. You don't want to cut your hand, but if you just go right over the bone and just kind of trim it down, you can easily take up a lot of that you take up a lot of that fat that's on there. It's a little bit of meat on there as well, but it's way more fatty than it needs to be. And I think that it's just going to be greasy if you leave it on there. But that could add to the extra juice. But if we're roasting it, maybe. But we're going to grill this. We're going to sear it. So I don't want to have to fight through all that fat to get a good sear and a good temperature on my meat. All right, so there we go. Alrighty. Now, the more you trim it, the cleaner it will be. And then the better it'll look once it's finally done. But there we go. So yeah, right now I'm just getting in between the bones the best way I can. And then, like yeah, this little piece right here is just mostly all fat. So we can just take that off. And then I'm not worried about trying to get it too perfect because the grill is going to sear and burn a lot of these away. If you want a restaurant style where they do actually have a nice clean bone, then you could do this for a little bit longer. But as for me in my backyard, I think this is good enough. I think we are happy with this. Yeah, so yeah, that looks good to me. So yeah, we got it nice and trimmed, and we're gonna season this, and we're gonna put it on the grill. So for seasoning, I have some all-purpose seasoning here. It's got your salt, pepper, some cayenne pepper, and it has rosemary in here, and I think some garlic and lemon, I believe. But yeah, I'm just gonna use this since it has everything I was gonna do anyway. So we'll just go ahead and sprinkle that on there, as so. Definitely get the back side too. There we go. And I like to put a nice generous coat on the meats. And then you can season the bones too. You know, why not? All right, so that's good. I'm gonna let this sit over here. In the meantime, we'll get started on this second one and we're gonna repeat the process. Now this one's a little bit thicker, so that's gonna be nice and juicy. But yeah, pretty much just peeling this. A trick to use is if you have a hard time grabbing this thing, this thin layer of membrane, you can always use a paper towel. You could just take like a little piece of paper towel, and then if you grab it in, it helps grip it. You can just pull it up a lot easier. Like that, yeah. Or sometimes you got nails, you can use that, or you just kind of work it the best way you can. Alrighty. And then same thing for here. We're just gonna trim some of this back fat off. Yeah, this has a lot of fat on. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave that on. Oh no, it can go because it's a lot of fat on here anyways. Yeah, that's like really thick. It's a real thick piece of fat. And and there's a nice thin layer of fat over here, which is good. But this right here is a little bit too thick for me. All right, so then we'll take that, and then we're just gonna do like we did before. Just trim these bones down. And in the meantime, I do have my grill going right now. I have all the food. I have all the charcoal in the chimney, and that's going. And you want a hot grill for this. You want the grill to be good, a 500. 500 is cool. You know, you could do it like mid-4s, like 450 or whatever, but you definitely want a nice, good sear. So I will be making sure like the fire is coming through the grates so I can get a nice little a nice beautiful sear on that. And we're just going in between the bones. There we go. Alrighty. So yep, pretty much this is this only hard part really here, just cutting in between each bones. I'm not using too much force as I don't want to cut or accidentally break one of these bones, but you know, because that might happen. Okay, so we'll leave that much fat on there, and then for here we will just, so I'm grabbing it pretty much by the base of it, and I'm just cutting up along the bone just to try to get rid of that excess stuff, just the excess meat and stuff, and all this extra fat that won't be. There we go. All right, yeah, this is getting tedious. And then pretty much you just scrape it for however long your patience will allow. I'm running out of patience, so I think that's good enough. We're not professionals. And then we'll just hit it with our all-purpose seasoning or our allspice. And you can put whatever you want on here. Rosemary and thyme, your herbs do really good with this kind of meat. Lamb really does absorb it a lot. Alrighty. So, yep, we got our beautiful lamb. Now, if this was like a bigger one, I would probably get some twine and roast it like this. Because that looks really fancy. But I don't. So, we're just going to roast it the regular way. And I think that's the French style. So I'm just going to add some more seasoning on that. And I'm just going to let these rest for right now. And then I'm going to go check on the grill. And then we'll be back in a second. All right, so we are outside. I got my hard lump wood that's all white, ready to go. I added a little bit of this cherry wood right here. So that's going to add a nice little fruited flavor to it, hopefully. And so now I'm just gonna let that go. I am going to put my grates over the grill. And then as you see, we got the nice fire that's going. Everything's getting nice and smoky. Everything's getting nice and hot. So we will close that for a little bit and we will just open everything up. And we will let the fire heat up everything. We'll let the grill get nice and warm. We'll let the grates get nice and hot. And then we'll bring the meat out here and we'll get the searing. And while we're waiting for the grill to get up, right now it's at a nice 350. We'll just open this up for a little bit, let the fire get nice and tall. But I got some asparagus. I seasoned it up with some butter. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that on there so that can get cooked as well. And yeah, we're just gonna raise this. And actually, we'll close this back. But yeah, we got our lamb on standby, ready to go. I'm gonna raise the grates. Got all the vents open, so everything should get enough oxygen. So the fire should start roaring up in a little bit. And once that's done, we will throw everything on the grill. Alrighty, so we outside, we are ready. We got our lamb chops. I got my asparagus sitting in the corner. That's gonna cook. I'm not really too worried about that. It's all about the lamb. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna pick it up and I'm just gonna drop it right on the grill. There we go. And this piece, we'll put this right next to it. Alrighty. And we'll just close that. Now this is like all the leftover fat and stuff. We could do some with this, but I won't today. So yep, that's that. We're gonna let that sit on the grill for maybe a couple minutes. I'm actually gonna put this over here somewhere. I'll be back. So I got my new pan that I'm gonna put my lamb in. I also got some peppercorn, and then I'm gonna top it off with a little bit of Merlot salt. It's pretty good. It tastes kind of sweet though. Kind of reminds me. It tastes like apples. I don't know why, but that's what I get from it. Open this up, and yeah, we see the lamb's doing pretty nicely. I got my temperature here, and we're gonna aim to cook this at about a good 120-ish, and then we'll let it rest. But yeah, so right now we're just searing it, trying to make sure we get a nice good sear on it and everything. It appears I lost a bone. A bone broke over here. Yeah, we'll close that. We'll let that just sit. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that this thermometer is kind of off. Or, I'm not sure, because right now it's saying, 100 degrees, which that's no way. But because it's a huge grill, it's taking the temperature of like the average of everything, or whatever you want to call it. But I got on my fire on just this one side. So this is hot over here. This is kind of cooler. So temperature wise, I kind of just, if I had everything heated up, then I could exactly get a temperature. But I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of know what the fire looks like, or what it feels like when it's nice and 500. So yeah, it's definitely hot when you kind of hover your hand over it. It's definitely hot. All the coals is white, and we're getting that fire that's kind of coming through the grates. So the grill is hot. Yeah. So that's how we do that. We're just gonna let that sit for a little bit. And then if you want to, you can add some more peppercorn on it as you're cooking. Sometimes I do, just because I really like peppercorn. And you can't go wrong with peppercorn. Now, I don't have the proper grates to make like those grate marks. But if you did, then this will be about the time where you can just rotate it. So you can pick it up, and you can just rotate your meat. There we go. We're getting a nice, there we go. And you can just rotate it like that, and that way you'll get those cross sections, but these grill grates don't do it. I've gotten it a couple times before, but it doesn't work all the time, but you know, it's all right. So we can just lower this for a little bit, and we will close that. And yeah, so I'll let this go for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna flip them, and then we'll temp them, and hopefully they're at the temperature we need. So we'll pause this for now. All right, so it's been some minutes. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip them, just so that way they get nice and cooked. And yeah, we got a nice little crust on there. The fat is rendered and golden brown. That got a little bit more sear on there. So what we'll do now is we'll just put them kind of like together, and we'll just actually I'll flip this. I'll put this one over here. There we go. All right, perfect. So we'll do that. And then now that they're on this side again, what I like to do is I like to hit it with some more of my salt and pepper. So I got my Merlot salt, my mixed pepper. And then we'll put some on the veggies too, because why not? Then we got our salt. Just a little bit of that. Alright, and then we're going to close it up and let it cook for a little bit. We'll let that go for about 2 minutes, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe another 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna start probing it with the temperature just to see where we're at. And that's it for right now. We're just pretty much waiting around and stuff. But yeah, lamb is pretty good. Lamb is pretty good. I really like leg of lamb. Leg of lamb, I cook that a little bit differently. But usually I smoke leg of lamb. But maybe we'll do that soon for the next feature. But lamb is a really good lean meat. At least that's what they say. So I like it. It's delicious. So that's why we're doing it today. I low-key got this rack of lamb because I got tired of ribs. Got tired of cooking ribs, but so I got lamb ribs. But anyway, this should be good. This should be good. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm hungry now. We'll just let this go for a little bit, and then I'll bring you guys back when we're ready. All right, so this is my favorite part of the grilling part. When the fat starts to drip in and it falls down, it creates that burst of flames. That's when the sear really sets in. So this is what I like to look at right here. It looks really beautiful. I did attempt. It's about 90 degrees internal for about both of them. So that's pretty good. That's what we're aiming for. Well, not what we're aiming for, but that's where we want it to be as of now. There we go. So we'll let that get a nice sear. And pretty much what's going on now, it's at 90 degrees, so that's great. I'ma still sear it until it gets to the nice color I like. And once the internal gets about 120, I'll put it to the side, let it rest, let my vegetables soften up a little bit. And yeah, but this is what I like right here. You got the nice fire going over, so now it's getting that sear that I like. And the temperature's not there yet, so we got plenty of time to work with, which is all cool. I'm gonna go ahead and temp this one on the side. Right now we're at 100. So yeah, we're at a nice 100 degrees. Now sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put it on the side just to get the sides crisp a little bit. Yeah, that's beautiful right there. I'm gonna move this over because I don't want to burn it. I don't want it to get too crispy. But I do like a nice little sear on my meat. So we'll put this back. There we go. And then let's see, we'll go ahead and temp this, see what this is at. It's a good 103, 102. So we got a little ways to go, but luckily it's a nice, beautiful sear that I like. I do want to sear up some of this fat because now this is the piece that had a lot more fat than this one. So I'm gonna put that down, let that sear a little bit more. This I'll put it over here, and what we'll do now is we'll just lower this, and then we will close it up. But yeah, I'm really loving the color. So actually we'll put this, there we go. So yeah, we'll just cover that, let the fire die down a little bit as it gets that back crust on there. Because I like when I do my steaks, I'm a fan of that. I really love that nice dark crust on there, that nice charcoaly, burnt crispiness outer layer, and then you get to the juices inside. It's really delicious. So that's what we're aiming for here. And yeah, so now what we're gonna do is the fire died down a little bit. I'm just gonna sit and wait for a little bit, let it watch. Once it gets to 120, that's what I'm aiming for, and I'll let it rest. I'll let it, hopefully, I want it, my perfect temperature for me is 130. Like 129, 130, that's why I like it. But if your meat will still cook while it's, when you take it off the grill. So if I pull it at 120, it should still be a nice rare, medium rare-ish. As long as it's got a little bit of pink inside. That's what we're aiming for. So now we got that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring these over here. So I'm gonna bring it on the cool side and just kind of let it sit. And what we'll do is I'll take a quick temperature of them just to make sure it's doing what I want it to do. All right, so this is 134, so that's great. It probably overshot it. And this one is 130, well, 120, 119, 118. It's moving around. But anyway, so this is probably going to be a little bit more redder than this one. But that's expected because this was a bigger piece of meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them both over here. Actually, we'll temp this one again. That's about 123, yeah. So that's perfect. So this one's about, they both might be about perfect. One's gonna be a little bit more pink than the other, but that's cool. So I'm gonna let these sit over here and let them rest. I'm gonna, as you see, all the butter melted in my asparagus. So I'm just gonna let that sit there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna close up all my vents. I'm gonna lower this as low as it can go, and I'm gonna close that. Now what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna get some cheese. I'm gonna get some Parmesan cheese to sprinkle over the asparagus, so that way while everything's resting, the cheese can melt on the asparagus. So we will do that. Actually, you know what? I should take the lamb chops off now. Should take the rack of lamb off now so it doesn't cook any longer. But it'll be all right. It'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. I'll be right back with the cheese. All right, so I got some Parmesan cheese crisp. I'm just gonna sprinkle that over the asparagus. Actually, we'll just put all that over there. We'll put a lot on there. I like a lot of cheese on my asparagus. So now the lamb racks, they're resting. I'm gonna go ahead and temp them again just to see where we're at. So right there, we're at 127. We're at 128-ish. There we go. We're at 125-ish. That part is 133. So we got a good, so it's resting nicely. Everything's resting nicely. We're in the high 120s, so probably it's gonna get up to 130. The grill's still warm, so we can let it just sit in that spot over there. The cheese is gonna melt. I'm gonna go ahead and do some cleanup, and then we'll plate it up, and we'll be good to. Well, I'll be good to get to eating. All right, so we're looking delicious. I am hungry. The cheese mostly melted. That's good enough. I don't care. We're just gonna go ahead and plate it up so we can get to eating. So I'm gonna put my. So I got a lot of butter and cheese in here. I'm gonna let that. There we go. Don't want to lose none of that. Then I got my lamb rack. All right, and then I'll bring it inside and we'll plate it up, and we'll cut into it so we can see that. All right, so everything's done. We are ready to cut into it. So we'll just grab this, and then we'll grab a knife. Yep, so it's been resting for a while. We'll just cut the one just to see how it looks. Trying to cut it. Why won't it? Okay. Let me use my strong hand. There we go. And you want to cut it right on the bone, and then there we go. Beautiful. We got a nice crisp outside. We see the fat cap, and we see a nice little pink center. This looks good to me. And yeah, it's nice. This one might be a little overcooked to my liking, but I think it's gonna be good still. But yeah, it's nice. We'll cut another one just to look at it. Oh yeah. So now when we get towards the middle, we get the more rare cuts. As you see, we got a nice, beautiful pink center, nice sear. So that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and plate it up with this, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Vic Cook. If you guys got any suggestions on which they can cook, then just go ahead and drop the comments. Go ahead and hit a like button, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. And thank you. Till next time.